Hey everyone, I'm Marc Barton, I'm 49, I started training Jiu-Jitsu at age 30, so I spent pretty much my entire Jiu-Jitsu journey as an older grappler. I got my black belt when I was 40 and I now teach full-time at my own academy. Over the years I've made all the classic mistakes, overtraining, pushing through injuries, chasing progress too hard, neglecting recovery, neglecting strength and conditioning off the mats. But now, at age 49, I honestly feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I've finally figured out how to train hard, recover properly, and still have a normal life. And I'm not the only one. We've got a big crew at the academy training into their 40s, 50s, 60s, and I've even got one student in his 70s at the moment. And one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do you stay healthy on the mats as you get older? So in this video, I'm going to share my top 5 tips for older grapplers. These are things that I've learned the hard way through trial and error, but also from my background as a doctor. I spent almost 15 years working in emergency medicine and intensive care, so I'll be trying to back up these tips with as much science as possible and not just anecdotes and personal experiences. Hopefully there's something here not just for people starting out, but for anyone who just wants to keep training, stay healthy and enjoy Jiu-Jitsu for the long haul. Okay, so let's dive in. Okay, tip number 1. This is a big one, and this is one that I learned the hard way, if I'm honest. Who you roll with really matters. Now, I'm not saying you must avoid younger or stronger people altogether, but as an older grappler, you have to be smart. You have to find partners who can push you technically and not just physically. You have to be able to trust the people you roll with. You need to roll with people who roll with control, who aren't just trying to win every single round like it's the finals of the Mundials. If you're constantly going to war with 20-year-old wrestlers or jacked white belts who outweigh you by 20 kilos, your body's going to feel it, and not in a good way. You'll end up sore for days, you'll miss sessions, or even worse, you'll lose enjoyment of training altogether. And I've seen people literally just give up training because of this. Train with people who respect the role. Higher belts, especially older ones, usually get it. They're great to train with, okay? And if you can, try and build your own little crew that share the same sort of mindset, people who are around your age, who you can train with and grow together. And just remember, it's always okay to say no to a round. You don't owe anybody a roll. Your longevity is much more important than anyone's ego. Tip number 2. This one's been an absolute game changer for me. Add some strength training into your routine. I'd never in my life done any weight training until a couple of years ago. In the entire time I'd been training through my jiu-jitsu journey, I thought that the jiu-jitsu alone would be enough to keep me strong. And through my 30s, to a degree, I mostly got away with it. But once I got into my 40s, the injuries started to creep in. I started to get pulled muscles, soft tissue injuries, back pains, post-training soreness that just wouldn't go away. And then after COVID, I came back on the mats. I was soft, I felt slow, and I didn't feel great. And this is at the point where I reached out to my good friend James Cooper, an excellent PT. He's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and an all-around very smart guy. And he looked at my diet, my training, my habits, and we did a body scan. And the body scan was an eye-opener. The results weren't great. My body fat was too high and I didn't have enough muscle. I was in suboptimal shape and I really needed to make some changes. At that point, James put me on a very simple full body weights training plan, just lifting twice a week, and it changed everything. I'm currently stronger, more resilient, recover faster and feel better overall than I have been probably in any point during my training from when I started when I was 30. There's solid science behind this as well. Just 2 sessions of training weights a week can reduce your overall risk of death, increase your bone density, and help you stay mobile and independent as you age. So it's not just benefits in Jiu-Jitsu here. This is longevity and health span benefits that you're going to get from this as well. It's a massive game changer just for your life generally. Stick to the basics. Big compound movements, squats, presses, deadlifts, rows, full body compound movements. And twice a week is enough. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be consistent lifting that supports not only your jiu-jitsu, but also your life off the mats as well. Tip number 3. Prioritize your mobility and warm up properly. Okay, this one's made a huge difference for me as well. And I was lucky with this one that I learned it early on in my journey. One of my first instructors, Nick Gregoriades, was big on mobility, stretching, and yoga. And from day one, pretty much he hammered home the importance of staying supple as you age. And that message really stuck with me. Your flexibility tends to fade pretty quickly as you get older. And jiu-jitsu can put your body into some pretty awkward and uncomfortable, unpredictable positions. If you're not prepared, at some point something's going to give. Since my early 30s, I've kept things very simple. Just short daily mobility or yoga sessions, no more than 10 or 20 minutes at a time, sometimes even a little less. And I've always prioritized a proper warm-up before the class. I never just walk in and start rolling, because that is a guaranteed way to get injured. A real warm-up means more than just kind of jogging around the mats and doing some shrimps and some breakfalls. You need some dynamic stretching, some joint rotations, and some movement prep. Really focusing on your neck, your shoulders, hips, knees, the areas that take the most punishment in jiu-jitsu. Your coach might run a great group warm-up, but only you really know if your body is actually ready to do the training. So take some personal responsibility. Turning up even a little bit early just to do 5 minutes of focused movement can go an awful long way. Okay, tip number 4. Okay, your diet. Okay, this becomes more important the older you get. When you're younger, to a certain degree, you can get away with eating a rubbish diet. But once you get into your 40s or beyond, your body becomes much less forgiving. What you eat starts to have a real impact on your energy levels, your recovery, and just how you feel generally day to day. Again, I got to thank James Cooper, my friend, for this, the same PT and black belt I mentioned earlier. He really helped me clean up my diet. In fact, when we looked at my diet, it was a real wake-up call. I was eating nowhere near enough protein, and I was eating way too much processed junk. In hindsight, it's really no big surprise that I felt stiff a lot of the time and my post-training recovery was so slow. Now I try and focus on eating well, concentrating on whole foods, getting plenty of protein, staying hydrated, and the difference is massive. I feel better, I train better, and I bounce back from whatever training I'm doing much quicker now. A few quick tips. Try and get a good high quality protein source with every meal. I aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight, roughly 2 grams per kilo of body weight per day. Try and eat as much whole foods as you can, fruit, veg, grains, nuts, seeds, that kind of thing, healthy foods. Cut back on the processed stuff. You don't need to be perfect, but just better, okay? Try and drink plenty of fluids and stay hydrated. You may need some electrolytes as well to balance in with your training. And yes, still enjoy some treats. I still eat chocolate and ice cream and that kind of stuff. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just really, if you can get sort of 75%, 80% of your food in that high quality window, then you can have a little bit of something outside of that as well. And that's important as well to make this manageable and something that you can keep up long term. Okay, tip number 5. This one might be the most important one of all of these tips, okay? Sleep. Sleep is your best recovery tool. It's free, it works, and it impacts everything. It impacts your strength, your energy, your decision making. It even impacts your risk of injury. And yet so many of us don't treat it as a priority. Especially after late night training when you come home wired or buzzing. This was actually a little bit personal for me. I was a shift worker for over 10 years, and my sleep was kind of broken at the end of that, and it wasn't easy to fix. But once I did, the difference in how I felt, both physically and mentally, was massive. Poor sleep affects pretty much every system in your body. It slows your recovery, it weakens your immune system, it increases your risk of injury, increases your risk of heart disease, dementia, even cancer, okay? And one study alarmingly found that even just less than 6 hours of sleep a night can seriously impair your strength and your coordination, which is obviously definitely not ideal for rolling. A few simple things that can help, okay? Try and wind down before bed. Minimize your screen time, don't have caffeine late in the evening, try and get yourself into a relaxed state of mind, particularly after class. Dim the lights in your room in the hour before bed. Bright light kills melatonin and it will really disrupt your sleep. Stretch and breathe a little bit before you go to bed. That can help. Even just 5 minutes can calm your system. Try and keep your room cool at night. Apparently around 18 degrees C is about ideal, and dark, blackout blinds, windows, even an eye mask if you need to. And the last thing at night, I would skip alcohol. Okay, alcohol's probably a discussion from another time anyway, but also probably a good idea to not have a big meal just before you go to bed. Above all, you want to be aiming for sort of 7 to 9 hours. Even too much sleep can actually be detrimental as well, but that window is perfect, and that's when your body does its real recovery work very, very well in that window. Everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me drone on for the last 10 minutes or so. I'm going to try and drop all the links to the studies and references that I've used to compile this video in the description below. If you did like this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the channel, and please drop a comment in, even if you hated it. If you loved it, that's great. If you didn't, drop a comment in. And if you want me to cover anything else, please let me know. I read all the comments. Okay, thank you.